law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have adequate advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or agreed upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Matawan Aberdeen Regional School District Board of Education advertised this meeting on June 5th, 2024 in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger. This notice was sent to the municipal clerks of the Borough of Matawan and the Township of Aberdeen and the Matawan Aberdeen Public Library. The notice was also placed on the district's website. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. At this time, we're going to take roll call. Mrs. Foley. Here. Ms. Miles. Here. Mr. McGovern. Here. Ms. Bell. Here. Mr. Montone. Here. Ms. Scott. Here. Ms. Burrell. Here. Ms. Martinez. Here. Ms. Moore. Here. Be it resolved that a closed session be convened for the purpose of discussing privacy, personnel, and legal matters. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee it, the length of the executive session is estimated to be 30 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business. Action will take place. Can I have a motion and a second to enter executive session? All in favor? Aye. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm going to turn it over to the principal of elementary. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Thanks for coming. I'm going to turn it over to the principal.
All right. Welcome again, everybody. We appreciate everybody for coming out. Once again, I am overwhelmed with how many families came out tonight. That really shows how proud Clifton community is to be a part of this amazing school. So thank you so much. Without further ado, Aubrey is so excited. She's going to say the pledge. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have our flag over here.
The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome job. Thank you. Let's give Aubrey a big round of applause. All right, great job. That's how we start our day every day. Do you remember that when you were in school? No. Right? Okay. So tonight we're here for our Board of Education meeting that they come to every month. So thanks to everybody for coming. And tonight Cliffwood gets the host. So I'm very excited about this. So I wanted to recognize our students who have 100% attendance so far this school year. I hope everybody's paying attention to those really important newsletters I send every Sunday, right? Like around 5 o'clock. And in there we've been discussing how important it is to be coming to school every single day. So we wanted to show you how much that means to us, and we want to recognize our students who've been coming. I also want to thank the families for that, because at this age, it has a lot to do with you too. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. So we have a long list of students, which is a great thing. So I'm going to pull them up by grade, and then we're going to come up, and the teachers will help, and we're going to pass out the certificates, okay? So we'll start with pre-K. So any pre-K students that are here with 100% attendance, if you can come up. If the pre-K teachers want to come up too, you can come up. Congratulations! Any other pre-K students? They can come up with their families. Great job, everybody. Nice job. Great job, guys. All right, let's give our first graders one more big round of applause.
I'm gonna grab your jacket.
Okay.
Come on up here.
All right, how about let's have second grade, our big second graders. Great job. Great job. And last but not least, our third graders. Congratulations to our third graders. At this time, as the third graders are getting their certificates, can we have all the students with 100% attendance to come up for a picture? We need a picture of you all. All right?
Bring your sign. Bring your
All right, come up, bring your certificate. Your certificate. All right, everybody come up for one big picture.
Yes, don't worry.
Oh, boys and girls, we have a special guest. Let's take our picture. Ready? Give me Saviana.
Everyone's in the background.
All right, let's give them all a big round of applause. Congratulations.
There's no way I'm going out like that. Stop the rain.
All right, just for those of you who don't know the newsletter, we also share that every day we check each homeroom to see who has 100% attendance. And we have a bulletin board outside in the hallway here. And every class that has 100% attendance each day brings down a Cliffwood ball. He's Cliffwood very happy, right, Cliff? Yes. And at the end of the month, we see which classes have the highest percentage of 100% attendance. And they get extra, who knows what you get extra what?
Recess. Say it out loud. Recess.
Who doesn't like extra recess, right? Yeah. All right, so that program can go very well. We're excited about that. So next up, what the night is also dedicated to is our amazing community members and our amazing businesses in this community who have gone above and beyond to support Cliffwood School. I asked if we could recognize them because I believe that this is very important. When I first came to Cliffwood School, one of the sayings that I always heard is, "We are Cliffwood proud." And that really stuck with me. And I realized what that means is the commitment, dedication, and passion that the community members, that the community businesses in this community have, the dedication they have to our school and to our students to make it as amazing as it is. So I think it's very important to recognize them and to thank you all for that. So let's give them all a big round of applause. So without further ado, we're going to start recognizing our community members. And our first one is actually a Matawan Regional High School student, Matthew Long. Congratulations. So Matthew is going to share what he's been doing for Cliffwood School and all the schools here at Matawan Regional School District.
Alright, so I'm a senior at the high school, and as you can tell, presentation well. But I'm very into vexillology, which is the study of flags. So for every school, including Cliffwood, I've created a flag design for them. So for Cliffwood specifically, I made 3 designs, and then I came here and presented it to each of the students, and they voted. And if you
look up here, go through the 3 designs.
Yeah, on the left of the 3 designs, it's a little small, but eventually they chose one. We'll show that in a minute. And on the right is the flag design I made for the high school, which is where I began. And
So, without further ado, we need a drum roll. Let drum rolls in elementary school. This is drum roll. We're going to show you how to play elementary school. All right, let's do it.
so the final results, it was really close between design 1 and 3. This one won by 1 class. So the representation, the maroon and white school colors, and Cliff in the center as the centerpiece. And specifically wanted the Cliffwood Proud slogan rather than Cliffwood Elementary, so I incorporated that. And then the CL obviously means Cliffwood, the abbreviations.
Thank you so much. I also like to thank the PTO because they funded the flag and they also funded the banner for the cafeteria. So let's give them a big round of applause.
Why am I holding the flag? You hold it!
So Matthew's getting a certificate of appreciation and a photograph with the first flag he made for our district. Thank you, Matthew. All right, next up is everybody here at Cliffwood knows her as Miss Honey, so I had to call her Miss Honey. So Miss Honey, without further ado, please come up and you have your Cliffwood Elementary School, right? The old building. So she has been here since she was in kindergarten, and she runs the cafeteria here, and she knows every single student here. She knows what they like, she knows what they don't like, and we could not run lunch without Miss Honey. So thank you, Miss Honey. Also, Miss Honey's husband owns a company in here, and it's called D&D Masonry, right? And I had an idea that I want this year, our theme at Cliffwood is sailing towards success. And we wanted to get a boat in front of the school and to be able to fill up with soil and have a garden. So I think you've seen it when you come in. So we need to thank her husband's business and stand up, please. I didn't come up here. To fill that boat for us. So that's what I mean when we talk about Cliffwood community and how Cliffwood proud we are. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. And also, I don't know if they're here. The Wagner Marina, did they come? Okay. We also just want to recognize them. Is everybody familiar with Wagner Marina in town? I went over there one day and I asked them, do you have a boat like a dinghy for us? And they're like, yes, we do. And they brought it over for us too. So I just want to thank Wagner Marina as well for making that possible. So you can see in the picture there, Cliff next to our boat. And Grandma PTO, I'm going to get to you. But she always makes sure that our boat looks good. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have community businesses that we'd like to recognize. I have Tom should be here from Jersey Mike's. Tom, if you want to come up, thank you, Tom. We have Lenny from Thank you. Is J&T Law Service? Okay. So J&T Law Service, he actually has a son here as well, and he actually donated the sign for the front of our school from his business. So I just want to give him a big round of applause. Thank you for that. And Tommy from Jersey Mike's, he was able to work something out with our school. Whenever a student has a birthday, they receive a free ice cream and a free dinner from Jersey Mike's. So thank you. And we also had an amazing fundraiser with Jersey Mike's where we raised over $700 for the school. So thank you again for doing it. And did you familiar with Viva Margarita on Route 35? So Manny had a dinner night out for us, and we raised a little over $300, and he doubled it out of the kindness of his heart for our school. So thank you, Manny. And Jennings said they give us the sign, and then Sundays was not able to come, but every little Sundays in Maryland, they donated for each student on their birthday ice cream cone or ice cream sundae. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, you go margarita. All right. So next up, who remembers when Santa Claus visited Cliffwood School? So Mr. and Mrs. Acosta were able to make that happen for us, and the children loved it. So let's give them a big round of applause. So besides having a connection with Santa, we have a staff meeting every single month, and Mr. and Mrs. Acosta, through his business, they donate the breakfast for the teachers every single month. And this isn't just like bagels, it's everything. Yogurt, parfaits, drinks, the teachers love muffins. So we just want to thank you so much for that. They always do so much for us. Christina Acosta also works here, and she also is a very active member of the PTO. Anybody want to join the PTO? You can always use our help. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. And I'd also like to thank the Clifton Fire Department, Mr. and Mrs. Gonzalez, if you can come up. So every year, the kindergarten walks over to the Clifton Fire Department, and they give them a fun tour, they give them hats and coloring books, so we're really appreciative of that. Also, when they heard that Santa was coming, you have to have the fire truck for Santa, right? So I called up Mr. Gonzalez, who is the chief here at the foot, and him and Mrs. Gonzalez, who did all the planning. I know they did. Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez. They made that happen, and that really made the kids' day. They loved seeing Santa, and they loved seeing the fire truck. So thank you so much for making that. I got 2 minutes on that. All right. Next up is Mrs. Brittany Shea. Is Mrs. Brittany Shea here? All right, give her a big round of applause. So Brittany is actually the assistant. Oh, I'm sorry, I have it wrong. I'm sorry. Okay. Assistant director of the recreation at Cliffwood. And raise your hand if you went to the holiday tree lighting in town. All right? All to Ms. Shea. So thank you very much. And it was a free night. I mean, there was pretzels, hot chocolate, singing. Elsa was there. Elsa actually made it snow. It was amazing. If you weren't there, you gotta go next year. But we also want to thank Ms. Shea because she invited Cliffwood School to sing holiday songs there. And it was so special for the students. We have a picture up there from the night. Even Mrs. Perez got in that picture. And below that too, which I didn't know, Cliffwood has a community center that's beautiful. So for everyone Chairman Q? Yeah, oh, hi, Mrs. Chairman Q. Mrs. Chairman Q, thank you for coming. So one for you and one for your organization. So Mrs. McHugh is the president of Parents of Special People. So if you're not familiar with the program, this is a beautiful program that they are running for our families here at Cliffwood. So if you ever need any information for students with special needs, this is your woman to go to. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. Did anybody see the Cliffwood sign on our Facebook profile? Yes. So this actually, I can't take all the credit for this. Mr. Van Horn actually ordered all this, and then when I came, I found the boxes in the closet. I'm like, what is this? So we have to get this together. So I asked at Matawan Regional High School, there's the National Honor Society Club, and they're always looking for volunteer hours. So I reached out to them, and we had a bunch of kids that came, and they worked on this for a couple of weeks. I was pretty impressed. I didn't know we were going to get it together. And really, they did it all by themselves. So I just want to thank the high school students for coming out, volunteering their time. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. And they help out with so many things. All our Title I nights. So thank you very much. You know, all the parties that the PTO has. Thank you. They're teenagers and they decided to come to the Board of Education meeting. I mean, how great is that? Okay. We cannot roll out of school without the Cliffwood PTO. Everything that they do, from fundraisers to setting up the book fair, to making sure the boat looks nice outside, to all of our decorations, shirt panels. I mean, I could be here all night explaining all the things that they do. And they do this out of the kindness of their heart. So I think a really big round of applause. So I need to PTO, please come up. PTO, please come up. My executive PTO, please come up. PTO, grandma, let's go. We're getting up here. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, so thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate everything that you did. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. Thank you. Where's the other PTO? I saw you guys. Yeah, where's Melissa Martinez? Where's Melissa Martinez? She's hiding. Melissa, get up here. Now, come on. Melissa also substitutes at our school every day. So thank you, Melissa. She knows all the kids by name, and it's truly special. And Christina. And I like to call Barbara PTO Grandma. She loves it. I really do. But sometimes she really puts me in my place. She knows that if you're feeling the PTO for substitutes, but she's still on, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's get over. And Miss Corey does the Facebook page. Corey, I'm looking up there. Thank you. Okay.
Come on. She wants to sleep. Come on.
All right. And last but not least, I would like to thank all the board members because, again, you guys come here every month. You're here till I don't know what hours sometimes. And you also do this out of kindness in your heart. You do this because you care. And you want to see the best for our students here at Matawan Aberdeen School District. And we really appreciate it. And I think sometimes it goes unnoticed. But we want you to know that we really appreciate you and we are Cliffwood proud. So thank you. Let's give them a big round of applause. I also have to thank my Cliffwood teachers and staff. If you guys can all stand up and come up here, please. Please, come up here. Come so much, guys. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you, Cliff. All right, Cliff's getting tired. He's gonna go home. Let's say bye to Cliff. To show our thanks to everybody here, to our teachers, to our staff, to our big members, to our community members, to our businesses in the community, we're going to have the first graders come up and sing a thank you song. So you guys want to add up? My first graders are going to sing a thank you song. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you again. Let's give everyone a round of applause.
Okay, we're going to continue on here. A little bit out of order. We're going to go to the closing statement for the representative report. Good evening. Happy New Year. To begin my basic on the Give Back Night at Professor on January 16th, supporting our MRHS community. Coming up, the high school PTO is hosting a pocketbook bingo night on Saturday, February 8th in the high school cafeteria. Doors will open at 5:30 p.m. and the call will start at 7 p.m. Any questions can be directed to the PTO via email at madewellregionalhspto@gmail.com. Madewell Regional High School Student Personnel Services Department is excited to offer their college planning series for parents and students. Please join them on Tuesday, January 28th for an Understanding Financial Need workshop, and Tuesday, March 11th for a FAFSA Assistance Information workshop. Both sessions will take place at the high school beginning at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, the MRHS Thespian Society presents the annual Student Faculty Variety Show. In this student-led show, both students and faculty take the stage with exciting dance numbers, funny skits, and songs. Come out for a night of fun and to support the Thespian Society. Additionally, on February 7th, come out to see Mr. Madawan, an entertaining show and competition among senior boy contestants, raising funds for the seniors. The cold weather has not slowed down the Ravine Drive road runners, who are off to a fast start in the new year. I want to thank Mrs. Morrissey's students who wrote letters to Operation Gratitude, an organization that sends care packages to deployed troops, veterans, military families, and first responders. Ravine is also happy to announce that their engineering club is off to a great start. Recently, kindergarten students at Ravine have transformed their classrooms into an 18th century Korean village as they enjoy the pirate costume battle from the Magic Tree Festival. This weekend, on Saturday, January 25th,
All are invited to our meeting's first student-led cupcake bake-off from 12 to 2 p.m. The first preschool family event will follow this Friday, January 31st. Stay tuned to hear which team will be the market period winner for the most good job tickets and a visit from the Roadrunner mascot, which will be announced at the end of the second market period. Clifton is thrilled to share some of the latest happenings and exciting updates from their school. Students, staff, and families have been working together to create memorable experiences and make meaningful contributions to the school community. First, a huge thank you again to the amazing Clifton PTO for their continued support. Their recent family dinner fundraiser at Cuba Margarita was a tremendous success, raising $600. This generosity goes a long way in supporting students and enhancing their educational experience. Mark your calendars for the upcoming Title I Family Night, which will take place on Thursday, February 13th. This year, they're hosting a Cosmic Space Math Night. To make the evening even more special, the PTO is funding a planetarium assembly that will coincide with the event. Clifton PTO can't wait to see students and families come together for a night of learning and exploration of the stars. They are also excited to announce the start of the Whiz Fit Challenge at Clifton. As part of this initiative, the Clifton staff will face off against the Harlem Wizards in a fun-filled basketball game on March 6th. This event aims to raise funds toward their goal of installing a new sponge floor bottom for their playground. Adding to the excitement, Mr. Wyman, one of Clifton's dedicated first-grade teachers, has volunteered to have his head shaved in February to help in reaching their fundraising goal. They greatly appreciate his spirit and willingness to inspire our students. Clifton is incredibly proud to celebrate the accomplishments of their students. 44 Clifton students have achieved 100% attendance so far this school year, and they were recognized tonight. This remarkable dedication to learning exemplifies the commitment and pride that makes our school community so special. Thank you to everyone for your continued support and enthusiasm. We are Clifton proud. Happy New Year for the students and staff at Cambridge Park Elementary. The students at Cambridge Park had two amazing visitors to start the new year. Frosty the Snowman came for a dance party, and Elsa from Frozen sang and danced with students for the day. Elsa was able to visit each classroom and answer the students' questions, and they had a lot. They are hopeful that Elsa will be able to come back again soon and maybe bring her sister Anna. Cambridge Park has moved into the medical theme and the tools of the mind curriculum. Up next is the pet vet. At Cambridge, they are planning the next parent buddy reading event, which will take place in February. They will keep you posted on the date and time to be determined. MAMS recently held its annual student-faculty basketball game. It was a fun event run by the school's National Junior Honor Society and Student Council. These groups raised $1,000, which will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Thank you to the Aberdeen Police Department and their officers for playing in this year's event and supporting our school community. For the second semester, MAMS will be rolling out a new attendance initiative. Administrators will be tracking attendance for homerooms and individual students. These scores will be visible on bulletin boards in the commons area. Classes and students will have the opportunity to earn various rewards for quality attendance at school. MAMS admins are excited to recognize middle schoolers who demonstrate good attendance and make every day count. Finally, Lloyd Road Elementary School has held parent-teacher conferences on Monday, January 13th through Thursday, January 16th. They appreciate all of the parents and guardians who came out and participated in these important meetings. Lloyd Road Elementary School is gearing up for their grade-level school spelling bees. The winners of classroom spelling bees will have the opportunity to participate in the school spelling bee that will take place by grade level on January 30th. The final winner of the Lloyd Road School spelling bee will have the opportunity to participate in the Scripps Regional Spelling Bee later this spring. The Lloyd Road PTO is gearing up for their popcorn fundraiser event, which is now underway. They encourage all families to participate and help the PTO earn valuable funds to support their school community. Lloyd Road Elementary School appreciates your support. They are also gearing up for Random Acts of Kindness Week, which will take place on Monday, February 10th through Friday, February 14th. The purpose of this week is to engage in activities and conversations focused on promoting kindness and working together to foster a kind, caring, and accepting learning environment to appreciate diversity and celebrate everyone's individuality. This concludes my report. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. York. She has to go to dress rehearsal for the student faculty variety show. Good luck. Break a leg. Okay, can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the regular action meeting December 19th and the executive session meetings 1 and 2 on December 19th? I'll motion. I'll second. I have a motion and a second to accept the correspondence to the board.
I'll motion.
I'll second. And we will turn it to Ms. Perez for the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. evening. Short update. Previously, in prior months, we've been working on school security, both with the both towns, Aberdeen and Manawan, and I've been keeping the board members in the community abreast at each meeting in terms of how we were working towards having school security in each of our buildings. I'm happy to say that throughout the process, we've remained committed to providing a safe and secure learning environment for all of our students and staff. The board's been supportive in terms of upgrading and continuing to upgrade school security cameras, infrastructure, and communication systems, and this is something that we've been working on since the start of July 1, the new school year of 2024. Tonight, on tonight's agenda, you'll see that there's a Secretariat agency being recommended for school security. This partnership allows us to have consistent school security officers in our district. We're recommending that we have school security officers in each of our buildings. We're proposing that one full-time officer be assigned to the middle school, one full-time officer to be shared Lloyd Road and Strathmore, and one full-time officer shared between Cliffwood and Riverview Drive. The SRO will continue to be working at the high school and will also be at Cambridge Park and the various schools. Our relationship with Aberdeen and Manawan remains strong in terms of communicating with the police chiefs and the town council. Our private security, however, allows us an additional layer of security while being physically responsible, as this is being fully funded through our security aid from the New Jersey Department of Education in our local budget. If we go back to our budget presentation and if you look at line items, that is where we allotted school security aid. We received funds. There was an increase for this current year, and we have planned to move forward with some sort of plan once the referendum is not passed. Each of the officers will work 7.25 to 7.5 hours Monday through Friday. Additionally, the officers will be able to cover any extracurricular activities as well. The goal is, and still remains the same, that any security officer or any police officer that comes into the building, that the goal is for them to build relationships with our students, with our staff, and the staff community. We expect the same from, and we've had long discussions in terms of Secretariat agency being able to provide just the same. So we look forward to working with them. They have years of experience in law enforcement ranging from various communities, at the level of lieutenant, captain, working at the prosecutor's office, and even having both male and female officers of color. So in terms of diversity, we are excited to do that as well. They are, the security officers are licensed through the New Jersey State Police under the Security Officer Registration Act. They have undergone an extensive vetting and training process. They will be able to carry arms in the building. They will be monitoring the interior and exterior of all buildings, and they will offer additional security in our hallways, cafeterias, as we strive to create the safest learning environments each and every day. They will be, the security officers will be they'll have uniforms that'll say security officers, so they're easily identifiable. And they will also, any patrol cars will be identified as well, so they will be outside of the building. We look forward to working with them. The plan is to do a meet and greet with our administrative team on approval, and then we will also then be introducing them to the community events and such that will be involved in that matter as well. That concludes my first part of the superintendent report, and now over to Mr.
Thank you, Ethan. There is a presentation behind me if you want to slide the chairs. I can share it so you see this. So this evening we're going to share some information about student product absenteeism in the district. But before we get into the presentation, just to again echo what we saw a little while ago, my presentation is not going to do justice to what you saw a few minutes ago, and then you will cherish the three most important factors to improving student attendance right in the room this evening: the building principal, the teachers, and the parents. And you saw in practice tonight some of the things that are happening in the building, and I encourage you when we walk out the doors later, you can see the bulletin board about attendance. That really is what this is all about. That was the positive side of what we can do to impact kids and impact attendance. What I'm going to share tonight is where we're at in terms of some of the data and some of the practices in order to move the whole district forward to improve student attendance. So again, the agenda, we're going to go through what it is, what we're doing, how we got there, and how we'll improve. What is chronic absenteeism? So this is defined by the state of New Jersey, that if we're missing 10% of the academic year for any reason, then we're considered chronically absent if 10% of our district is absent 10% of the year. So our students go to school for 180 days, which means that if you are absent 18 days or more, you'd be considered chronically absent. So the district-wide data, I'll just walk through this real quick. So at the bottom, working our way up, the 21-22 school year, district-wide, just over 15% of our total student population were considered chronically absent. The year after that, 22-23, it's about the same, 15.3%. In 23-24, the data has not been released publicly. I have seen it, and I can tell you we have improved. But we're still above the threshold of 10%. But we're moving in the right direction. Which brings us to this slide where it's now broken down by building by the same 3 years. And you can see for the most part from year to year, 21, 22, 22, 23, the numbers stay about the same, but they're all above 10%, which means that every building above 10%, we're on a corrective action plan. We'll look at that in just a minute. If you move from left to right for any given building, you can see for the most part, the numbers stay the same. There's some decrease, there's some increase. And again, you'll notice last year's data is embargoed. I'll share this with the board in the district data dashboard that I shared last month. You'll be able to see this year's in a few months, but I can tell you this. We are trending in the right direction in every building. Still above the threshold, but when you see the number, just say, okay, we're getting better. So that's a good sign. So what is a corrective action plan? So again, our buildings are above the 10%, then we have to follow these steps. So you're not going to see the actual corrective action plan because there's student information that's incorporated in them, but these are the categories that are on each of the plan. So it's designated per building. We have to show historical data by grade level, by students at risk. You saw a snapshot of that. We did give a survey out to our community. There were 369 responses, or about 23% of our families responded to the survey. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. In the action plan, there had to be tiered strategies. So think back to last year, think back to the summer. Remember the pyramid? We talked about MTSS and interventions, how to improve academics, green on the bottom, yellow in the middle, red on top. That same model works for attendance as well. So our corrective action plan is based on that pyramid. We have to show areas for improvement, and we have to talk about what has worked and what didn't work in our plan, and then a progress summary. So we not only follow the data, but we actually follow some of the practices that are in place. Are they working? Are we improving student attendance or not? And then we have to justify that. So what strategies are being implemented? It's building specific because obviously the students at Cliffwood are much different than the students at the high school with different expectations and different requirements. So action plans and what we're doing to address attendance is going to vary by building appropriately. So there's going to be a mix of universal things that we're going to do. There are some punitive and there are some restorative practices. It is aligned to improve board policy. I just mentioned it's based on the 3-tier system for improvement. We do have to have attendance committees at each building, which we do have, so that way we have input from staff in the building. And then there's regular monitoring of data. So quarterly we meet with principals and we review the attendance data to see if there's progress. Okay, so we'll start with the high school, and obviously the high school, we saw the numbers were relatively high in terms of chronic absenteeism. And when we get to the high school, we know that seat time, being in class, is extremely important because this is what leads up to graduation, and there are certain specific graduation requirements to that. So again, you can see, and this will be consistent throughout, in increments of 4. Letters go home after 4 absences. There's conferences after 10 days out, working with the assistant principals, working with school counselors, meeting with students. Stakes are high at high school, so the more you're out, the greater chance of loss of credit. So those warning letters do go home at 15 days for a full year course, or 7 days for a half year course. phone calls go home by school counselors to home. Again, that human piece that at high school especially, you could repeat a grade, you may have to do some makeup coursework. Summertime, summer school, we're going to count for the seat time. There are times where we do home visits. If we're not hearing from families and the students have been absent consecutive days, we do home visits. On the positive side, we do celebrate attendance at the high school. So the freshman class, after the first marking period, all the students who had perfect attendance for period 1 came into the auditorium. They were celebrated, recognized by building administration. There was a raffle, gift cards were given away. Students of the high school can earn custom tickets for perfect attendance. So it's happening. We started with 9th and 10th graders because we're trying to build a new pattern of attendance at the high school. And when you look at attendance, not only in Mattawa Regional High School, but in all high schools across New Jersey, seniors have the worst attendance. And we also know that seniors and high school students have more control over their attendance. They can drive to school, they're making the choice to come to school or not. When we get into younger grades, it's more the parent decision. But high school, a lot of that responsibility falls on the students who are trying to create good habits with 9th and 10th graders. So custom tickets are part of that program. We encourage participation in extracurricular activities, starting in middle school and high school. We have the data, and this is no secret, kids who are involved in athletics, extracurricular, band, theater. They come to school, there's a purpose to come to school. The more we encourage kids to get involved, the better their attendance is. And the last bullet, so this is for the high school and for Cliffwood. We're participating in an attendance collaborative, so EAB is our research partner. We're doing a national collaborative where schools come together via Zoom, and EAB shares some research of best practices to improve student attendance, and we start working with other schools to talk about what they're doing that works, what's not working, we share ideas, and so collectively together, we have an opportunity to collaborate and help improve attendance that actually begins next Tuesday. Yes. These are just bullet points, and I try to group it by what would be considered punitive versus positive and restorative. So middle school, again, you're starting to see a pattern. Some of those are very similar. So attendance letters, phone calls, council meetings, admin meetings, these are happening for middle school as well. Repeating a grade, those are the punitive pieces. Home visits happen in middle school. It's been a focal point for middle school especially, and lower for in parent presentations like that, the school nights, where the administration is talking about attendance. It's in newsletters. The middle school, you just heard Lindsay mention this in the student report. The incentive challenge has started at the middle school. And then again, encouraging participation where you have a first opportunity to do things after school or middle school to get kids involved, which helps with attendance. Elementary, so again, same type of pattern in terms of phone calls and administrative meetings, that these are more student-focused to parent, more so than student to student at the high school. You see, the elementary school is more about connecting with families and parents. So it's been a focal point for parent presentations, newsletters. We try to send out the messages that we're here to support families and really educate them about attendance, because when you're talking your youngest learners and it's your first child and you're really not so sure about what the attendance policies are, we just send your child to school or not, we're really working with our younger students and their families to really get them educated about coming to school or not. And I'll show you just real quick. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, we've seen these pictures kind of pop up on each of the slides. So those are graphics that were supported in the district by the Department of Education, and then to send out information to families in quick one-liners and blurbs of the importance of coming to school and the impact good attendance has when students attend regularly. So those type of messages are being sent out in newsletters, especially at elementary levels. Again, incentives and reward challenges, you saw that in action tonight, and then Cliffwood is representing the elementary schools on the EAP attendance plan. Okay. So in one of them, bullets earlier on, I talked about the survey to parents. Part of the corrective action plan, we need feedback from community members. So we sent the survey out in December. It was open for a couple of weeks, and then the data came back in. So this is right from the survey. So we're seeing what the The input was from families, so the question was, are you aware of the district's attendance policy? And a majority of the respondents said, yes, we are aware that there is an attendance policy. Great, that's good news. However, if you're aware of the policy, how familiar are you with the policy itself? So you might know what's out there, but you know what's in the policy. You know what it's directing you as a parent to do. So a little bit more concerning, about 60% said we're somewhat not very familiar with the policy. So they know it's there, they just don't know what's in it. That's important information for us. That's telling us, through our action plan into the buildings, one of the first things we need to do is, one, make the policy more visible and easy to find on our district website, the district home, and then educate parents about what's in the policy. So, at every level, in all the action plans, we're addressing the visibility, communication, and education of our attendance policy. How important is daily student attendance at school? You can see that most parents and guardians recognize the importance of daily attendance. That's great news. If you look at the red and that little green sliver piece of the pie, it represents 17% of the respondents are saying, it's either not important or somewhat important. That lines up to the number of students who will be chronically absent. So those first couple slides, it said about 70% are chronically absent, and here we go. Here your feedback right from home, about 17% are saying, not so much. That's the important number that we're going to start to focus. So in the opinion of parents, which of the following do you consider acceptable reasons for a student to be absent from school? 100% of the respondents said illness. Yes, if your child is sick, they should stay home from school. They're allowed to stay home from school if they're sick. And then at the bottom, let's go down at the bottom in terms of respondents, the fewest amount said family obligations, responsibility would be an acceptable reason to stay home. Everything else seems to fall in the middle. So this is the next interesting one. Have you ever felt unsure about whether to send your child to school to do their health? It was almost an even split. Half said, yes, I don't want to send them. Half said, no, I don't. That's important. That's going into our action plan. That's the next thing we're going to address. We're educating parents on when is it okay to send your child to school. If they have a runny nose, do you keep them home or send them to school? You send them to school. If they're vomiting or they have a high fever, do you keep them home or you send them to school? You keep them home. So we've done communication at the beginning of the year, a letter that's gone home to school, but clearly that's not enough. So we're working on a couple of things to roll out the second half of the year and the beginning of next year in the fall to really get in front of parents and educate them to move that number so they have a better idea of when to send kids to school. That should help our numbers. Communication, how you should prefer to be notified about your child's absences. This was interesting. So the majority of respondents said that they would like a text message from the school about attendance. So we have limited capabilities to do group text messages. It's a snow day, you can send that out via text. What we're going to work on is narrowing that down to the building and then narrowing that down to specific families. Some of the feedback that we've gotten from EAB was when you're doing text messages, and this is working in other districts, you need a little more empathy. So rather than saying, you've been out 4 times, you've been out 8 times, and get to school, here are all the bad things that happen if you don't come to school, how about on the 3rd absence, before you get that letter, let's be a little bit more empathetic and say, hey, we haven't seen you in a couple of days, we're worried about you, is there something that we need to know? That's something we're going to be working on from the building level out to communities as well, and that is being seen here. How often would you like to receive updates about your child's attendance? Majority state that they want communications as needed. So if you were to do this survey again, this question needs to be cleaned up a little bit more because we really want to know what does as needed mean. It's a little too open-ended. But I think if you can address the text message piece, that will allow us the communication vehicle. This, we have numbers that would make a little bit more sense. But this question would be cleaned up if we get into that. There were 2 opportunities for parents to give open-ended feedback. The first question for open-ended was, what do you see as a barrier preventing your child from coming to school regularly? Are there any factors that we need to know about? And so when I went through the data, I grouped ones that popped up most often. First one, there were 29 comments about illness. Absolutely makes sense based on the 100% said that they would be the child when they were sick. I think it's interesting, several parents have mentioned their concerns about mental health and anxiety for their students. That was a reason why they would keep their child home. There were comments about transportation or lack of transportation. There were comments, the next one about some doctors only have appointments during school hours. That's a true fact, that's a reality, and so we understand that. But there are times we have to kind of work around that, that's out of our control. There were some comments about facilities and lack of cleanliness in schools that might be contributing to their child's health. There were comments about sports schedules being too late. Going back into this, I don't believe this was middle school, high school sports schedules, but this was recreation schedules that were running too late in the evening, and then their child was going to bed later, or waking up later. So I think that's more recreational sports. A couple comments on school culture, which will make sense in a minute. A comment about family vacations. So, and we've heard this before, that there are some families who can only take vacations during the school time. That's important to them, to their family, and so that's when they take their vacations. And then a comment about high school start time being too early, which there's plenty of research about when you change start times for the older students, how it impacts their mental health, it impacts their grades. A lot of important research around that. And then the last opportunity for feedback, that there were comments regarding attendance. So this is now wide open. If there's anything that you want to tell us about attendance, go ahead. This is your chance. So there were a couple of people who said bring back fall break. This is the week that leads into NJEA conferences, our teachers' convention. We did that once before. There are districts in non-Ocean counties who do that. And so the comments said this: we're taking off that week. If you want to improve attendance, if we're closed that entire week, then you don't have to worry about our attendance because everything's closed. So while that's a valid point, at the end of the day, we have to serve kids 180 days, and we're limited to where we can shift days and take days off. Good feedback, but it's not always easy to do within the calendar. And the next one, attendance policies, too strict, and it causes anxiety resulting in absences. Yep. But we need to have strict policies in order to be able to take the next steps. And the next one, it's in yellow for a reason. So there was comments about confusion of excused versus unexcused. That's good feedback. It's confusing. So what we're going to do is, and this was some feedback from the board as well, we appreciate this, getting this more visible on our website. So as soon as you all, without having to drill down and dig deep for attendance policies, how about some information about excused versus unexcused? Yes, we're going to do that. We have sent out letters in the fall that maybe we take a different approach than just a form letter, really trying to do some explanations and examples of what's excused versus unexcused. This is important. For the purpose of chronic absenteeism, it doesn't matter. If you're absent 10% or more, you're considered chronically absent, regardless of what labels in front of absent. And then it goes on to talk about excuse absences and be more lenient. Some parents said, I'm just going to send my kids to school sick. Some parents said, I'm not going to send my kids to school sick. Later start time at the high schools, we see that again. Continue to offer incentives. Schools should be more fun. So again, you saw that in practice tonight. The kids were happy to come tonight. It was well supported, so we're doing that. Find a solution for students to stop spreading germs. So I had a similar reaction the first time I read that. A couple of times, and I said, that's very difficult to do. But actually, the more you think about it, that's pretty insightful, because there are things that we can do to help stop spreading germs, and that's educating parents on the way to send their kids to school without percent. So it actually makes sense. Going back to that pie chart, when they were unsure whether to send it or not, so now you're just seeing it in narrative form. So actually, it does make sense. We can't prevent stopping spreading germs by a magic wand, but there are practices we can put in place. Educating parents is the first step. Keeping clean schools is an important step. So there are things that actually we can do. Which ties to the next one, confusion about when to send the kids home, work on that. Parents have asked to be more flexible, allow students to take as much time as needed. We can't do that. Right? There are standards that are important. You have to come to school to be educated. You can't be as open-ended as people would like. School expectations are too high and too stressful. We can work through the stressful part, but I had shared this with the principals when I said, congratulations, our expectations are too high. That's a good thing. You should have high expectations and coming to school is part of that. And then too many messages about attendance going home. That's also a good thing. That means that they're getting the message. There may be some confusion, maybe some clarity, but we're doing what we need to do in order to get the message out. And part of that message is, and I'll say it again, you could be absent 17 times and not be considered chronically absent. If you're sick, you can stay home. That's okay. That's a lot of time. It's almost a couple days a month that you're allowed to be out. It's important to be in school. It's very difficult to make it at a time when you're not in school. But if you're sick, there's opportunities to stay home. So that's in terms of the presentation. On the agenda, and I'll pause when I get to it on my part of the agenda, that we're asking the board to approve the resolution for the corrective action plans. That we've done the survey, we put the plans together, we shared it with the board. Next month, when we are monitoring through QSAT, we're going to be seeing a similar presentation, we're actually looking at the corrective action plans. So there's a level of accountability for the district at the state level. So that will be the next step. The other intermediate steps, we're working with the principals to look at quarterly data and to put some of the actual incentives in place like we saw this evening. Mr. President, here's my presentation.
Any questions from our board?
There we go. So thank you so much for running the survey. Thank you so much for analyzing the data so thoroughly. I wanted to ask you a follow-up question. One thing that you talked about, which you know is true, is the percentage of students who are aligned with activities, clubs, sports, directly impacts positive attendance. Do you have any sense of the percentages of the schools that the students are involved? Is that part of your evaluation right now?
It is, and on the district dashboard that I shared in December, one of the colored lines actually shows participation in extracurricular. So we have the data, we can break it down. It's middle school, high school. Primarily high school data is more detailed, more reliable, because there's a lot more activities. So we can look at who's participating in what, and we can align it to their attendance. We haven't done this, but we can. We can also look at student attendance and extracurricular aligned to student achievement.
I was hoping you would take a look at all of that because the data is so strong that if you have a reason, I have so many students in my classes who came to school because I can't participate in X, Y, Z tonight if I'm not here. I mean, of course, if they're sick, they should stay home. But if we could really pull out some of that data and then really take active role in who's not and what could we get them involved with. The second question I just wanted to ask you, even though it's not great, I saw the data that BOE Road and Ravine with 10% as opposed to the rest. Is there any way to parse out why is their percentage points lower than the other schools? Do you have any idea?
Yes. So there's two parts to that. Part number one is teacher involvement, where teachers reach out to families and make that connection. Teacher-parent connection is strong throughout the entire district, but we use Lloyd Road as an example. So Lloyd Road's numbers you saw were on the border. We can't say for sure what's going to happen in the 23-24 data, but if I had a crystal ball, I would bet that Lloyd Road may see some significant improvement. And it has to do with that connection. So the teachers who build strong relationships with kids and parents show that improvement. That's a big
What's
piece.
different about BOE? Is it particular teachers are taking on individually? Is it a school initiative of some sort that's different from the rest?
It's a combination of things. And so Lloyd Road is your first opportunity as a student to start to get a taste of extracurriculars. It's your first opportunity of meeting kids that are outside your home school. You have an opportunity where you've got a nice tight-knit group of teachers who understand the importance of kids coming to school. You have strong leadership in the building, so it's a combination of a whole lot of things, which it exists in every building. We'll set the high school aside for when we talk about the seniors and how that really impacts student data. We have all the right pieces in place. So our chronic absenteeism data is not 30 to 40%. We're right on the bubble. And so what's important is that 17% that we saw parents who said, it's somewhat important, it's the same 17% that shows up district-wide. What's the movable middle? And so we have data that shows students who are out 12 times in a year, up to 17 times in a year. They're on the cusp of being chronically absent. Then we have data that has 18 to 22. So students who are absent 18 to 22 times, that's the movable middle. If we can take that group and improve their attendance by 1 to 6 days, our numbers will start to come down. And it's a combination of things, and it ultimately comes down to looking at individual students and individual families and seeing what the reasons and needs are for that. And that's the second piece of this is really looking at the data with building administration, school counselors, social office, and we meet with principals quarterly to look at this data, but they're really the ones with their teaching staff that are making the difference. to looking at individual needs.
So wondering, Mr. Cronin, even know some information as to why out of the 3 elementary schools, it's your beam that's lower, like if there's any way you can point, not that the other movable things aren't so important, but when I see the difference in the stats, I really wonder, and maybe because the schools are so small, the numbers are minuscule, what's making those percentages, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other part of it, right? The mathematics behind it. Sometimes we're only talking about 2 or 3 kids
Yeah.
in a building where the population is less, and obviously, again, the high school, which has the largest.
Thank you so much.
So thank you. I agree. This is very insightful, very helpful to see these numbers here. I have just bear with me, I have a bunch of questions. First though, I want to say.
Your mic.
Sorry, my phone's on. So in terms of our absenteeism, we're not alone as a district. We learned that as reports. Like a lot of districts are struggling with the exact same issue we are in terms of attendance, right? Like, so it's just so that the community knows it's not just a Matawan Aberdeen issue. It's
400 out of 600 school districts. So 70% of New Jersey is in the same position.
right. So that's why. In terms of attendance, I know you touched on the high school, so that's primarily driven by seniors.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense. And then I know there may be privacy issues, but is there any, like, do we know anything in terms of what's driving that? So is it illness, lack of transportation? Like, I'm just throwing it out there. Like, is there anything you can share without getting into specifics of a particular family?
So it's tough because we know the specifics of families, so we won't address that. And it's a combination of things.
Okay.
And so on that slide where it looked like there was 15% 3 years ago, then it jumped to 21%.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it won't be 21% when you look at
Okay.
last year's data. It won't be. It'll be more aligned to other buildings, which is good
Okay,
news.
that's good. Yeah.
There are pockets of circumstances that we're aware of,
Okay.
and there are obstacles that parents share with us that sometimes we can address, and sometimes. And so I'll give you a couple of examples. Transportation was one that came
That's
up.
what I wanted to know.
And there's no way to know within this survey to did it district-wide under my opinion. So we don't know if Cliffwood families said transportation specifically, but it came up in the survey. Right? So we know that transportation, we can look at any of the buildings that perhaps transportation could have been an issue in 21, 22, or 22, 23. That's a possibility. We have had parents who gave feedback on half days when we early dismissals. And so there are,
It's difficult for them to get to their kids,
In
so
the
let
middle
me
of
just
the day.
leave them home.
yes. Yes.
That's very good to understand.
And that may not be Cliffwood specific, but it
We've
could
increased half
be.
days, right?
We did.
Right, so, good to understand, okay. Helpful, thank you. Love the idea of positive acknowledgement. Mrs. Charence's extra recess for elementary, I think is phenomenal, and I would recommend that we consider it in other places, that's appropriate, because I think that's great for little kids. I think that right there, more playtime, is to be as a little kid, who doesn't want that? So I think that was fantastic. Positive acknowledgement, I know I mentioned this in my questions, and maybe it's because, but I do have 9th graders, so for some reason, I had no clue as a parent that there was positive acknowledgement going on in the high school. Nope. And I don't know if that was just me, like maybe I just didn't read it, maybe I just, but I think that's great. And maybe there's a way we can make more parents aware of that. I don't know, it's just, it's another motivation to get your kids to know, like, I don't know what the Husky bucks are used for, but that's fantastic. So I love that idea. I just think the more we can make people aware of it, the better. So that was another point. Google Classroom. So my kids have actually said to me, so when they're out sick, so, child of mine, but have said, like when I'm like, oh my God, the word, you're going to miss so much word, that sort of thing. What they say is, it's all posted on Google Classroom. So it's a very different, when I was a kid, to
to now, Google Classroom has almost made it too easy to miss because I just log on, I'll see the work I missed. And that's why I wanted, I was interested in that question of how important are people thinking attendance is for their education, because that was just like, and it's true because I'm even it's the other day, and I thought he had a lot of work, but he actually didn't write that in there at home on Google, so it's just an interesting, I think it changes things from when we were younger, so it's just, it makes it almost less important to be in the classroom. I don't think it's less important to be in there, but I think kids potentially could see it that way. So just, and then I think, yeah, so thank you for sharing. And I'm interested to see the numbers in this grant, to see if they get any better.
I'll just comment real quick on Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, it's a great tool for
Great tool.
educators, parents, kids. With any tool, especially when it's technology driven, that there are a lot of positives and then there's always the downside to it. Well, Google Classroom cannot replace a classroom. Classroom cannot replace an interaction teaching staff. So that is important. So we try to do a lot of things to help connect kids and parents to let them know what's happening in the classroom, extra stuff at home, homework and stuff. When you have to be out sick, then there's an opportunity to at least be able to maintain some of the pace. So it's a great tool for that, but absolutely, it's not a replacement, and then we have to kind of technology to actually do that possible.
Yeah. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Right. So just for perception, but can I just be really quick? Areas where we can increase awareness using our social media website, and really just putting things on our district website that are a little more easily accessible. Including the actual attendance policy and what are the excused versus unexcused absences, and then also, little bullets of education as to when you should send your child to school and when, not to send your child to school. So I think we can take these back to just our Facebook page, our social media page. Thank you. That was awesome. Appreciate it. Just a couple of questions or comments. So you said the excuse, and listen, my kids are in college. My kids are in college, and I still don't understand. I still think that it's confusing with the excuse and the non-excuse. So when you say, if you go on the website, can we have that on the front with the policy and just that little section, what is excused, what is not excused, with all the other stuff, that would be really, really helpful. Because a lot of what we read, we read the pages on Facebook, the parents will say, well, I don't understand, I feel that's excused, or what is excused, or why am I getting a note or call if my kid is sick, I feel that's okay. So it's just confusing. As far as the half days, that's a good point that parents sometimes don't send kids in, but I also think half days are good because if kids can come in at least for a half day, they're considered a day. It goes both ways. Not saying, all right, let your kid come in deathly ill for 4 hours, but if they're a little under the weather, at least get through the first 4 hours, and then they can always go home with us anyway. So that's another way to look at half days. But again, the parent has to be around, so that's not. And like Mrs. Golly said, huge thing with COVID. I think that it taught people they can talk. And you see that in the workplace, you see that people don't want to go back to work. Listen, my kids' generation, oh, I want to work hybrid. Like, what is that? Like, so we need to get back to this is 5 years now. And I really, however we're going to figure that out, the world is just trying to catch on. People need to be present. So while I love the classroom, I think COVID made it too easy, and there's no way to go back from that now. But that's a huge point. And just listening to kids today, they're job seeking, hybrid jobs, so we can't make that. So, and I guess that's it. So the excuse was and then lastly the survey. Do we do that more than once a year? Like, do we do it for students, or do we do it just for parents?
So this is a once a year, just for parents in order to get feedback specifically to the chronic absenteeism corrective action program.
Oh.
There are other times where we do surveys, climate surveys, students get involved, parents get involved, we do a staff morale survey. This one was very limited and specific for this particular reason.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman, that was excellent. I also wanted to add that there is because of COVID, there is a concern about sick versus not sick, because for over a year, we were told that stay away from each other, don't touch each other, you're sick, you might be sick, you could be sick, so stay away from each other. So that's my little soapbox moment about that. So I'm thinking that I know that you're planning on working with, educating about when to, everybody knows, it's okay. Maybe through the nurses, I don't know exactly how, but there is going to be some people who are still afraid because they're afraid. So just to really reiterate that everybody's good and we can start being around each other again. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Kind of put this fear into people that any kind of sniffle, don't go.
Yeah, it's an important point that runny nose and coughs have been around for a long, long time and came to school. And now we're at a point where coughs and runny noses still exists. So we are working with our school nurses and we're working hard with the team. Our head nurse is actually reviewing visual graphic right now to make sure it's accurate and something we want to be able to send out. So sometimes maybe more form letters when they come home, but this is going to be a bit more visual, easier to read, a little more attractive to read. We're tossing around an idea of maybe making a refrigerator magnet with this information. And get out the carrot, it's right on the refrigerator. So that may not happen until the fall. But those are the type of things that we're working on. It's getting part of the education part of the
So if you're on the fence about sending your kids to school, if they're not feeling well, if they don't have a fever, and can you make it, is it counted as an absence if they go to school and they really don't feel well, they go to the nurse and they get sent home 5 years? That's an absence.
Yes, it's an absence and loss. They have that the minimum of 4 hours. So if you're sick, sometimes if you think you can make it, you get off the bus and you're in school and you're not meeting the threshold of 4 hours. Yes, it's an absence.
I think it's super hard for a parent, though.
Yes.
You know, if you're like, knowing that they're sick and if they're going to go and try it out and get sent home, why did they leave their child?
So they want to keep the
They
child.
keep them home
Exactly.
anyway, right?
Yeah, which is the frustrating part
Yeah.
for parents as we get in that situation, which makes it difficult to try to make the right decisions for
Right.
health and mental. It's very frustrating.
Just actually, just kind of what I mean, I think we're already sort of talking about this, but when it comes to that, explaining the excused and, I mean, I think the excused policy and also defining chronic absences to communicate together, because I have the same conversation with my friends all the time, where I'm explaining, okay, no, okay, look at the calendar or think about how often your kid's been out, and if it's edging towards 18, we need to call the school to figure out a plan, because there's something wrong here, and we need to come up with a plan. If it's less than that, then, you know, that's when you kept your kid home sick. And, I mean, I don't know, I have one child that tends to just get sick more, and so we're always edging towards that. The other one will probably win your award. I mean, like, he's never sick. So it's just how it happens, but I just set aside, I get those letters and I set aside, frankly, because I mean, the excuse, that's not our issue. Our issue is counting how often have you been sick, what can we do, and that's what needs, the kind of the positive education of how this works needs to be pulled out to parents and things. A lot of people don't know that. I know that because I've got inside info.
Sorry, one more clarification. So an absence is an absence in terms of what defines chronically absent, whether it's excused or unexcused.
Correct.
So for this data, it doesn't matter if there's an excused absence.
That's what. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman. And before I turn it back over to Ms. Warrenty, I wanted to acknowledge our board members. January is Board Member Appreciation Month, so So I'll give that to you a little later, but I want to thank you and we appreciate all you do. It is all volunteer.
Yes, we get pretzels and cookies. They're good pretzels. Yeah, they're good. Thank you all. I do want to acknowledge that the board is really involved and active and asks a lot of questions because they want to know the information and it's important to them to have all the information, especially because these are things that we are voting on for the community. So I also want to appreciate everybody here. So I have the board president's report. So I'm thrilled to share that our most recent budget audit had no findings. So what does that mean? So the objective of the audit is to verify the accuracy of the school board's financial statements, ensure proper accounting practices, identify any potential mismanagement, misuse of funds, and it's a state requirement, and it runs from July to January. And they audit, we use a company that audits our books, accounts, and funds. And why this is really important that we had no findings is because in previous years, we had several findings. So school year ending in 2021, we had 7 audit findings. School year ending in 22 had 2. School year ending in 23 had 1. And that was just that we had extra funds in our food services budget, and those funds had been spent on food services related costs, and they were. So we upgraded some cafeteria equipment. And the decreasing findings that you're seeing is because of our business administrator, Ms. San. So I would like to thank her very much for her hard work. I'm not a numbers person, so huge kudos to anybody who is, so thank you. I also wanted to talk about Ms. Pelwisley gave testimony at the New Jersey Department of Education School Funding Reform Outreach. It's a public hearing in Trenton. And she addressed funding for us specifically. She addressed funding for transportation concerns for our community. And she highlighted the challenges of the fact that our students from both our towns are coming from, sometimes crossing and coming from areas where there are highways, state highways involved. So she will continue that advocacy work, and I wanted to turn it over to her to give a little brief accounting of how it went.
Okay, when I was at, it was on January 14th, and it was the New Jersey Department of Education's holding a hearing about the school funding reform. That will actually be a legislative effort, but they were holding a hearing about it. And they actually held 4 public hearings around the state. This one was in Trenton. Very well attended. That was interesting. There were board members, superintendents, business administrators, town officials, parents from districts all around the state. Especially obviously because it was Trenton, a lot of central Jersey and down the shore too. So we had our neighbors Hazlitt and Woolbridge both had good representation, and then I was there and I spoke as well. Generally, what I was hearing over and over with a lot of districts have similar issues. The topics generally talked about were about weaknesses in the current school funding formula. A lot of it was about how special education funding is allocated, because it doesn't really track with the numbers of special education students, as I learned. I thought that was interesting. Also, the ways that transportation funding doesn't reflect the situation within districts like ours. I mean, I was the only one that spoke about the sheer number of highways in our district and the public transportation, running routes and all of it, but other districts had issues with their profiles versus where their highways are. If they're a large rural district, that the funding formula didn't seem to apply. And overall, the big issue was the current funding formula as it is flexes, as we've all experienced, flexes year to year based on the district's need and the ability to pay, how it's calculated, which doesn't function well with the other legislation on the books that's a cap on levy increases, because that means that the total revenue flexes up and down a lot. So I made my own statement, that we agreed to as a board and administration reviewed, and Department of Education's, their proposed changes to the school funding formula act should be released in February. I don't know how much detail they're going to give, but that this will move to a legislative decision. And so, consider it tentatively considered by the legislature. I'm guessing, I'm thinking, in just my kind of ad hoc advocacy role, that our next steps would likely be work with the town, our towns and our parents possibly, to meet with and advocate with our legislative delegations. We have multiples that cover this school district and education leadership at the legislature. So keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hull. So everyone is talking about cell phones in school. We're thrilled to say that we were at the forefront of this, and if you've seen any reports recently, you'll see that a lot of schools are going this way, and some even more stringently than we are. So I think we're getting good feedback from building administrators. There's some growing pains, especially at the beginning of the year, for some of the older kids that weren't used to it from, say, the middle school. But students are getting used to it, and I think even some like it because it keeps them focused. We are active and engaged, as I mentioned before, and we have some new assignments for the year that folks on the board have volunteered to participate in. Again, it's all volunteers, so there's all different committees. We have policy, we have a committee forming that will be looking at some administrative negotiation contracts coming up there, and then also we have our board Facebook page and our column in all around Madawan and Aberdeen. I just wanted to bring one clarification point to that column because some board members have questions about how the funding is done for this district. So I'm going to have our business administrator in this case explain that a little bit more in terms of adequate funding, what the state defines as adequate funding, and then property taxes and tax cap. If I missed something, just let me know. The way that state aid works is everything is calculated on a weighted basis, weighted being like the kindergartners are weighted less than all the way up to the high schoolers are weighted the most, and there's different categorical approaches within it. Adequacy is what the state deems we should be spending on our budget, and that is what they believe we should spend in order to provide a thorough and efficient education to our students. If you spend over it, that's where you're over adequacy. We do spend over it, so we are a district that is over adequacy. And how they calculate that is based off of property taxes and wealth indicators, so what each income is in its home. Those are the two ways that they calculate it. The interesting part is that Monmouth County decided a while ago in 2013 to be part of a pilot program where property is assessed every single year. So our wealth calculation for Monmouth County has increased over other counties. So we are only being able to go up 2%. With that, there are waivers. One of the waivers that we have used in the past is a healthcare waiver and an enrollment waiver. And, so we've used those to go over too. However, what happens is the state is telling us we should be spending X amount of money, but they don't give us a tool or mechanism to do so. Thank you. I think that clarifies a little bit more. And that in order to raise that 2% cap, you have to go to a referendum on a ballot. So that's to do that.
Ms. Murphy, I'm sorry. Can you, Ms. Case, can you just explain to me why you adequacy?
So if someone says that your budget should be $100 and you spend $110, you're $10 over adequacy. Whereas if your budget is $90 and you're supposed to spend $100 or $10 under adequacy. Thank you. So the board is committed to trying to attend as many events as we can, and I know that we have a running list of what's going on in the district, so we can be there and support all of our great initiatives. So I will be going to the high school student faculty variety show tomorrow night, and it's all student-led. My kids did it when they were in high school, so I'm really looking forward to that, and I will let you know how it goes. And that is the board of Mr. Leland,
Thank you. Critical instruction. We're asking the board to take action on all items listed without taking any travel or any other includes items in red from last meeting. Under B2 in red, on page 1, there's a revised field trip, and on the top of page 202, a revised field trip. That concludes curriculum instruction.
Can I have a motion and a second to accept the curriculum instruction? Mr. Lehman? Oh, any questions on curriculum instruction? Mr. Lehman, student services.
Under student services, we're asking the board to approve all items as listed, including items in red from the previous meeting. Item number 3 is on page 102. Item number 3 in red, this is to include district placement for 425. Item number 4 is a revision from previously approved district, district placement. On page 2, we're asking the board to approve 2 students for bedside instruction and to approve item number 6. This is a grant to pay for Learning Ally. Just a quick synopsis of what this is. So the state of New Jersey offered a grant to Learning Ally. Learning Ally had money that could offer districts who had previously partnered with them. So we were a district, we had a subscription to Learning Ally. Therefore, we were at the forefront of being able to be paid for another year of subscription, which we don't have. So it finishes out this school year, goes through the end of next school year. So this is software which we currently pay for out of the local budget. It's now paying for the grant. It's a great thing. It's now going to all of our schools. And what this does, it allows a teacher or student, if you were to scan the ISBN number on a textbook or a workbook, it could read a passage, read directions to the problem. So it gives the teacher and as a working tool for them, it gives the students additional supports to help with reading. This does not replace traditional text, 3D printed materials. It's not. This is a supplement that helps with the audio teacher. There are students who, in their IEPs, may need this particular application or accommodation. So it's there for them. So this is a great support that will allow for students. That concludes student services.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve curriculum? I'm sorry, student services.
I'll motion, I'll second.
Any questions?
Yes. This program is not budgeted prior to the grant. This is kind of a bonus that we were looking for, but we received the money to supplement. That will go to 2027 or 2026. June 2026. And then we will continue to still have the program then, which is supposed to be done in our budgets. Unless we get a grant, yeah. Okay, excellent, thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Wells, first time?
Thank you. The board has a bulking item in addition to this agenda. We're asked to take action on personnel items. There's litigation, A, stated, which has several leaves of absence, section E. Section C, 1 through 8, we have appointments as listed. Number 2, I want the record to record one correction on salary adjustment. That first line should be step in salary, step in 84, but the salary should be $64,775. Section 3 there, we have extracurricular activities, spring sports, as listed. On page 5 and 13, we have our non-athletic activities, which include our high school and middle school spring performances. On page 6 of 13, we have instructional assistants, who are also going to be working as substitute teachers as needed. And then number 5, we have home instruction, ranging from page 6 to 13. The district. On page 13, we have some staff arrangements, including overloads to cover some teachers who are out of leaves. Those go from 11 to 13. And then number 7, we have some college observers, teacher interns, 11th through their school year. And then on page 13 of the personnel agenda, we have district translators as listed, and then the others, numbers 1 through 5 as listed. And that ends the personnel agenda.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to accept the policy? Motion. Second. Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Sorry, personal.
On item 1C, the new hires, I think I misspoke. I asked this before my question. On the lead driver trainer, I think what I was meant to ask is this an internal hire? Maybe I was curious about that. I asked this as a promotion. Well, no, that's not how it works. But I was just curious if this is somebody coming from outside or if this is from our staff.
That's great. I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you. This has been a long time coming. This has been in the contract. And we didn't have a job description for it, so the first thing we needed to do was do a little investigation. We reached out to other districts that do have this position, and then we created the job description. After that, we did post for it, and we did have applicants internally and externally. We are hiring folks in. The reason why this is so important to bring into our district is we have seen an increase of students that were transferred, about 800 students additional. And so with that, it's very important that statistics show that regular education and training programs based on high-test observation to improve performance and safety. So this will allow us to have a person who really focuses and emphasizes safety with our drivers and with our youths. And then also has the ability to, go out and look at stops and do things like that so we can see what other safety mechanisms to help us with. This also assists us when we do have drivers who are absent that they can fill in the role. So when we don't have a huge substitute driver pool, we'll gladly take the drivers from our if we can. The other thing that this helps us with is that we did take the time to work with the Federal Department of Transportation and get our site approved so that we can assist in training drivers. You might want to get their CDL, and if you do want to be a driver, you need to have an S and a P endorsement. And so we'll actually be able to be an on-site facility for that. And so not only can we do it for our drivers, but we can do it for other districts and potentially bring in a revenue back into the district. So we definitely have many opportunities available as we kind of get this job started. So much. Thank you.
About the driver training, this was already budgeted for this case. This is something that we already had. Correct? It's not new.
This is not new. This is something we had budgeted for. This is something we felt additional to and instead of them paying for a driver and potentially extra hours, instead
And then the other thing, for the salary adjustments, I know you already answered this in our questions, but it was a good question for me to ask why we're approving. Usually we do the yearly raises, but if you could explain why we see adjustments to salaries.
Yes, those adjustments, in some cases, those folks just finished degrees and converted degrees and they're able at that point because they technically have that degree. So they are at that point able to request that salary that did not wait another year or perhaps they may in the district.
Thank you.
I have one question on the driver as well. So, thank you for president contract. So, it's nice to actually see the agenda. In terms of person chosen, so I just want to confirm this person meets the job description, fully certified in terms of being able to train other drivers and certify them. So she's what we need. Just confirming.
Yes, there's no specific certification on the seat. The only seat certification in transportation is for transportation.
items. The board has received a comprehensive breakdown of these first three items. The special education, location identification, and referral. Basically, it's a minimal change based on model policies in administrative code for special education. The student assessment, the major change was due to standards changing, specifically in English language arts, in some of our English language learners. In the attendance, for both support staff and teaching staff, the major change to that was based on the new attendance, sick leave year. So that's a code change. And also the second read, we are asking for approval and adoption for the second read policy and regulations as listed.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to approve policy changes? A motion? Any questions?
Ms. Carmody, did you want me to give an update now or on the policy committee?
Yes.
Okay. So we are working still on the PTO policy /boosters/clubs/ everything that we offer in the schools. So where we left off is right before Christmas. We had asked that the administration gather all of the information of all the clubs, the boosters, everything that is in every school that would apply. So we had everything compiled to one policy, and that when we're discussing criteria for PTOs, we can also discuss criteria for boosters and other clubs. So the administration and Dr. Rawls, who's our policy admin chair, did all of that work for us, and that was awesome. So he gathered all that information for us. We met last week, and we have a bunch of questions for our board lawyer, and what we're looking to do is just kind of compile the policies so that it's just one generic policy stating very basic criteria for what you should be doing, could be doing, and we're going to have it be under PTO is a little higher is in criteria versus just a booster club. The PTO funds all the children, whereas the booster club is just a specific sport or a specific activity. So it's a little smaller of an organization. So all of this will be detailed in the policy, but again, we meet again on Monday with the lawyer to go over just fine tuning of it, and then hopefully we'll have something in February on the COW as a first read.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez. Ms. Pace.
Good evening. We're looking to take actions on the following items for finance. Items 1 through 3. Number 4, I just wanted to make a quick adjustment. We did have a last minute add. We needed to ensure that we were able to get Broadway tickets for the middle school in a timely fashion. So we need to switch the bills list number to $4,133.42. With that, we are also accepting the annual audit for your school year. Again, thank you for recognizing the school for recognition on January 2025. 7, 8, 9, and 10 are for out-of-district tuition for our KEYS program. This is receiving money into the district for those students out from other districts. Routine travel reimbursement for the employee listed, approving the security agency that we also talked about earlier, and then the fire evacuation drills for the month of December. That
Can I have a motion and a second to approve that?
Motion, second.
Any questions?
say that number again for the bills. Sorry, everything. No problem. $4,133.42.
Also, we'll replace what was in the agenda folder with the updater.
All tickets and then
Yeah, this is seven grades from Mr. Ryan for garbage out.
Just two other things. One is, I'm very happy to see that other districts are utilizing Kingsley. It's such a phenomenal program to help. It literally saves kids' lives, and helps them turn around, still get their education. So very, very excited to see that. More and more what our attendance is up to there, but I think it's fantastic. And I'm assuming we're letting the state go as well, so we can potentially try to get additional funding to support more and more students. 'Cause there's only 3 schools like this in the entire state, so, so we're making them aware, assuming as our numbers go up, to even try to get more funding. Okay, great. And then lastly, the security piece. Okay. So, just, wanted to say thank you, because, this is long coming from, I guess it's been about a year. But since the referendum did not pass, last year, we did say that we would continue to work on increasing security in our buildings. And I just want to say thank you to the whole team, because everybody worked really hard to try and find ways to do that. I know we spoke with the town quite a bit, came up with a solution that I think works well for us. And we found a way to make it work in the budget, to get state funding, which helped with that. Also, I think we listened to what our community had to say, and we are rolling it in. We're not clearly like everything all at once. There is some sharing going on between buildings, and that's great, because I think that's how we're going to learn what's working for us, how many people we really need. So I think that's great. A couple of questions just from a community perspective, just so people are aware. Do you mind sharing just a couple of the other districts that you use this company, just so that they understand it is used by a lot of other school districts?
Millstone, Foxwood, I don't remember the rest of the school. Harbor, and then they're called RKS, other, so 3 schools in different areas, up north, central, they have a lot of facilities, that was the population. So the schools that I mentioned, they're we went out to referendum. I think there were also team members from USB, our special ed population,
Oh, I know what you want, sorry. I just wanted to ask, so in the high school, we have our SRO, but then we have something like, what is the other position that is in the high school where there's like just guards? So what is that called?
Security
Monitors, okay. So we have that in the high school. In middle school, I know we had possibly a hall monitor, but then that hall monitor switched departments, so we're not gonna have a different hall monitor, we're just gonna stay with one company.
Correct.
No, I'm just waiting for the question.
My question's all the way back to personnel, so if you want to go. I'm sorry. On page 13 of 13, in personnel, D number 5. I'm looking at the per evaluation rate for a substitute observer or evaluator. And I'm wondering how that compares to when we use an agency, if we need like a BCBA to come in and do an FDA, or we need a psych to come in and do like a school psych eval. How does that compare per evaluation in general?
I can, so the evaluations conducted by child study team members are fall between $500 to $1,000 if they're coming in school. But remember, those evaluations are first. Just evaluations.
Right. So it's that much from an agency.
We'll let that Anderson and say professional development for teachers, so,
It's our teacher evaluation tool. So we observe the person being observed could be doing a pre-conference, post-conference, the actual observation.
Are they always doing that full model? Because there's not always a full pre-conference, post-conference. So sometimes it's just the unannounced, you go in for a 30-minute, and then you write up.
Yes,
So it's the same.
It's unannounced and announced this particular observer agenda due to the changes with administration. We needed assistance with doing the announced conversations.
Thank
So
you.
that's why it's.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask a question. Thank you for fixing this travel chart so we can see it better. I just had a question about the Mr. Monowitz, who's attending the Director of Athletics Association of New Jersey. I know he's away for 4 nights, but I see that the meals miscellaneous is $556. And that just sounded like a lot for meals. I was curious, was there something additional there that it's that expensive?
We have to go by whatever the GSA rate is. So the GSA rate has a specific amount for where it is and when it is and how much.
What is GSO?
It's the government.
Service accountability.
Thank you. Yes. And so there's a first day, a last day, and then a middle of the trip rate. So the ones in the middle are always more expensive because they're able to scan for every single day.
Wow. I wish I had that standard. Thank you.
Ms. Murphy, I just have a feeling.
Wait 1 second. Oh, sorry. It's not a stipend, it's just a meal.
Not sick, but that's over $100 a day. You don't have to answer. Sounds like a lot. Thank you.
Just to add, that's pretty standard. I mean,
Well,
our
I'm just seeing
reimbursements are,
that.
I get $75 for dinner when I travel, just so.
No,
And remember-
well, this is a lot more, and I see Mr. Wallstill is going away for 3 nights, and his is only $230. So that's why I was questioning its difference.
See that to me?
Can I
Well, mine's zero.
Ellie has
So for that particular conference that I'm attending, it's at zero across the board, because I serve as president for the New Jersey Association, so they cover the cost.
She is going to use.
So I am going to, but I want to point out that the GSA, that we approve the maximum, but it's not always the maximum that they are actually the $500, and a lot of times it could be a zero, because there's different sponsors there, so like Mr. Alonso is getting an award, so I anticipate.
So you have to budget for the most, and then we'll see what it ends up being.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Morgan, I just wanted to ask, there was a couple, as board members, we always ask questions the week before the board meeting, and there's a lot of really good questions that we figured we would talk about tonight on the floor. There was just a couple things I wanted to ask real quick. Who will the officers be reporting to? Principal, security director, admin, combo?
It's a combination between the building principal and then the school safety specialist, which is.
Thank you. And then, will they have, other than the SRO, will they have communication with the police department, or they will, because they're private?
They will and they can with the building administrator or something else.
Being involved in it? Okay, because they don't have a direct, they're not working directly with the SRO?
Correct.
And then I know that we talked about telling the community, sending out a letter, talking to the children, and that will include, of course, staff. How, like, it's going to be a little different from a high school, because there used to be SRO and working with the police department. So just an idea of how these guys are now different in middle school. Maybe just need a little extra understanding of how the logistics of that would work, right?
Yes, so we plan to send something out to staff before the school committee. So that will have to be on focus, and then for staff, and then each building has to work with the building register and staff. Who's like the person, and then share our responsibilities.
Okay, and the SRO can be involved in all the schools?
Yes.
So he's overseeing. All right, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say something really quickly. I'm really happy that everybody's asking so many questions, especially financially related. It just shows that we're really trying to make sure that we're operating as best we can with what we have, because we don't have limited funds and the state can only do so much. And so I really appreciate that. I teach SCOP, so I really do appreciate that. And even, I'm just gonna say, like, we even just, I made a joke about the cookies and the pretzels. We decided that we were gonna not be fed at these meetings as much as we had been, because we're really trying to watch every penny, because it's not our money. So I just wanted to make that. So, public comment. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on matters of interest to the school community. Individuals wishing to speak must state their name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes duration, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. All statements should be directed to the board president, and no participant may address or question board members individually. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others whose legal rights may be affected. While it is not the board's intention to stifle comment on matters of legitimate concern, the public should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of the legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their own legal advisor.
Casey Burrow, I'm flying now, and this is why I was So, Ms. Perez, you mentioned that there would be a vehicle parked in front of each school. Let me, or no, there can't be.
Not each school.
Not each school. So we won't have one, we don't have a police car over there for each school.
Not in
So-
front of each school, only the schools that have that are shared, they have them.
Right, that's what I mean. So like if they go from Lloyd Road over to Stratford, that vehicle will be parked in front. Is that an actual police car? In not obviously an Avalon or Avalon one, but it gives the appearance of a police car.
It's marked as a security.
Security, okay. And are we still gonna have, like today, advanced, you know, every day there's a police officer that from Aberdeen comes and walks the building. That will continue as well?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I want to emphasize, and just on the record, that the collaboration between Matawan and Aberdeen, that nothing is changing with that. We are responsible, and we actually approved the memorandum of agreement at our last board meeting, so that's a requirement by the Department of Education. So the collaboration continues, which we're happy because we have a strong partnership with the police department. So they will still be in, doing their education lessons together as a league and and the drills.
Oh, I got it.
Jennifer Burley again. 7 Kimberly Drive, Madeline. Actually, a question for Julie. Can you talk about the, I want to recognize me as a brother from there. And actually, the question was back. You were saying it takes into account everybody. Like, so that my son graduated from but he is fine. So that I mean, I guarantee you, you're 1 year being out. I'm not so get better response. You know, 3 or 4 days. Does that take into account those kids as well? Can you like, I'm not saying can you do it, but like, does the state or anybody, do they look at like, and does it feel like for the kid who just doesn't want to go to school versus the kid who can't go to school because they're really in the hospital? Like, it should be a different percentage. Just, and I'm sure it's minimal, but it's a question.
So as far as chronic absenteeism is concerned, under that particular definition and statute from New Jersey, absent is absent regardless of the business element. So again, there's some other students, which is okay. It's all grouped into that same category for that specific detriment. That's not to say this is important for parents to know that if a child has to be asked from school for additional support or guidance, then reaching out to the principal, to their school counselor, those are important steps as well that we can work together on. But to answer your question, yes, it's all.
So then to get back to that, I think the biggest problem in high school is the kids aren't held. And I'll tell you, and I mean, so I have my son who was absent all the time. I have my daughter who would wake up and she had a stomach virus and bleeding in the baby for me to get her to school because that's the thing you mentioned in the class. She knows the homework is there. And she doesn't know the EP class. So she's missing all of the important talk and lecture and stuff like that. And it's just direct that was for her. It's just makes me want to bring it a lot more. So what I see on her end is her friends
feedback. We appreciate hearing that. So, and you're right, the challenge is how do we motivate high school students specifically. There's intrinsic motivation, the extrinsic motivation. There's a few other pieces. We do have measures in place. Credit recovery is one, home visits is another, truancy is another piece of it. Right? That's where the administrator and parents have to go in front of the judge, and then that's not fun. But there's that accountability piece as well. There's retention, graduate, all those pieces come into play, but so how do we start to address that? And the answer often is when they get to high school, and that's educating parents, parents who are at the younger grades and letting them know that early on here, for example, that attendance support every day counts, and we start to educate parents early on. That helps, but it wouldn't be it's not the answer. I think it's a true partnership. We talked about earlier. It's parents, teachers, and administration working together, and that's really where you start to see the difference. Correct. There's a lot of frustration on our part. How do we make sure that students, when they're 16, 17, 18 years old, they can make some of those decisions that they understand how the schools work?
So I'm just going to add that, and I appreciate your feedback, because while we can offer credit recovery, it doesn't mean that we don't need to look at and evaluate how and who is receiving the credit. So, for example, when you mentioned about maybe repeat the same kids, then maybe it's something to consider that you're showing, you're demonstrating the same pattern, you're not going to have that opportunity to take up the credit wherever they are. Last year, I just want to point out that last year we retained students that had well above beyond 20. So we retained those students, and the education piece is the most important, because good habits start early on. So if you saw the percentages at the elementary level, those habits have to be created early on, because they're now a habit, and then they want to improve in high school, and so it's really hard to change a habit very quick. So we want to, we talk about eating and things like that. It takes time to create good habits. So we hope that, knowing and getting this out to the families, that we can collaborate and work together and create those habits early on. We know and we see the data, so the kids we're looking at, it didn't just happen in high school. It happened in high school.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? Well, first I wanted to say, I just thought of something that Mr. Murphy said that was important. I don't know if he mentioned this, but the new company is also going to help with truancy, correct? Where they can. There's an opportunity
They
for
can.
that. If we chose to work with that piece, they also are able to help with that.
Yes, and that's actually in the plan. It's not we didn't present it tonight, but each
Right.
building has their own action plan that has to be submitted to the Department of Education. In the action plan, and the truancy officer will have a component to that, which will do residency checks and also see why they're not getting to school. But so we're hopeful that those connections, and that's just going to help everyone.
Thank you. And then I just want to ask Mr. Lee, seat time. Seat time, is that different from being absent? So like, my nephew was in high school, and he was late every first period. So I said to him, you have to be careful, you're missing seat time. So you look at it like, okay, but that really is something, correct? It's not just that you're missing dates, there's time, right? To a certain amount.
Yeah, so typically seat time is occurred used in college classes, it's just certain credit hours. You can take that same philosophy and apply it to high school. So if you were working first period, and you have first period English, which is required post graduate, you don't have enough seat time in English. So therefore you could fail the course, you could be absent for the course, and still finish the rest of the day on straight into other classes, but you didn't show up the first period. So that the seat time is affecting your attendance, friends.
Okay, that was my answer. Thank you. And that's what he said, that he was already in high school and they're so engaged in
I have a question. I could be wrong, but I think this also goes back to just getting back to normal. so now the village part is really picking up and being much more enforced than it has been. So I think last year was the first year where, as mentioned, we really had to get people who had to break because they didn't have enough days in school to really go to music. So it might have come as a little bit of a surprise already, and now that they are seeing with parents and kids that it's really, it will be they will be held accountable, that it's going to make a difference as well. Any more questions? Any other one? Do we have any unfinished business?
And we gotten the sign yet, or got the approval? So it's for central office,
Yeah.
there's no sign.
We were here for that meeting.
Oh, you were, that's right.
The sign was approved by the town. However, then their buildings requested additional plans from the vendors. So the plans have been dropped off. However, we are waiting for the permits to be released so they can move forward with installation.
Thank you.
Ms. Murphy, I do have just one question. I just want to ask, is there any updates from the liaisons? With the council or now or
Well, so I'm the liaison for Madeline, and I speak to the liaison from the council side every time, before every meeting, typically after every meeting, and just kind of update them with their meetings, is there anything going on we need to know about right now? So right now, I just updated them on security. They were already aware of it, just went through that with them, and then they just had a meeting, so we were supposed to talk again, so we can get an update on each one. So yes.
On the advertising side, contacted us, sent 2 emails, and a call, voicemail, reply back. I'm going to stop down the alcohol on Monday, so I can do this and this.
Chris, we can't hear you very good.
Sorry. I'm just going to yell because I'm not trying to figure this thing out. But at Aberdeen side, we have not made contact yet. I sent 2 emails and Paul left a voicemail to get back in touch with me. I haven't heard back yet. On Monday, I'm going to go down to town hall and see if I can meet face to face and just start that conversation.
Thank you.
Have any new business? Okay, so we will take roll call vote to approve the agenda. Evening, we'll be looking to take action on minutes, correspondence, curriculum instruction, special services, personnel, with walk-in policy, and finance. Mrs. Rowley? I'm a yes, but I need to abstain from travel and my own expenses. So noted. Ms. Biles?
Yes.
Mr. McGovern?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Montano?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Burrell? Yes. Ms. Martinez?
Yes, except I need to abstain from appointments, page 3 of 13. 3 of 13. One of the positions on that.
So noted. Ms. Frankie?
Yes, except page 12 of 13 under personnel, second line, abstain.
So noted. All items are.
Can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
All motion, second.
So the regular action meeting is adjourned.
subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. Although the board cannot guarantee it, the length of the executive session is estimated to be 30 minutes. And action will not take place. Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second.